Was that a fish or a bush? Kind of your idea behind starting Fly Fish Iowa?
So I grew up in Montana and I love being outside fly fishing. And now that I live in Iowa, I wanted to introduce some people in Iowa to fly fishing. So there's tons of opportunity in Iowa for fishing.
What do you think's the most, I guess, appealing thing about fly fishing?
Fly fishing is a very active form of fishing. It involves a lot of movement, a lot of mental processing. It's not kick back in a lawn chair and dunk a worm. It's actually very mobile, and it requires effort, attention to detail, and that oftentimes keeps people engaged longer than if they were sitting on a bank with a worm under a bobber.
How do you think people should book a guided service with you?
Sure. Fair question. I can teach you to fly fish, and your fly fishing skills will be applicable to a variety of water bodies all across the United States. I have fishing experience, fly fishing experience in lots of different places around the lower 48, as well as saltwater, and so I've seen a lot of different fish species. I know how to read fish and how to teach you how to catch fish. I'm also a teacher, so I do know how to teach as well.
What are like some of the areas and species that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so in Iowa, we have the main target species for most people who live around cities is largemouth bass. We have a lot of urban ponds that have largemouth bass, and bluegill are a great way to start out people fishing on the fly rod or just with worms and a bobber. But we also have a crazy diverse amount of species that you can target on the fly rod. That includes things like common carp, like gar, like drum, smallmouth bass, trout. There's just a huge range of things that you are able to target in Iowa, and there's tons of different ways you can do it. Fishing in rivers, fishing in ponds, fishing in lakes, tons of opportunity in Iowa.
What would you say are like some of your company's values?
Yeah, I want people to have an experience fly fishing that encourages them to, number one, promote conservation. So that would be keeping our waterways and our natural settings clean. And I want clean water. I want water that keeps fish in it. And so I want to teach people conservation would be one of my main values. I also want people to keep fly fishing. A lot of times I want to introduce you to fly fishing so that next time you go on vacation out west, you're prepared to do it.
How long have you been fly fishing?
I've been fly fishing since I was about 11 or 12, so that'd be about 14, 15 years. Yeah, so I grew up fishing in Montana, and my first fish I ever caught on a fly rod was a cutthroat trout, and since then I've tried to catch as many different species